The couple was involved in a bus accident, and when they woke up a few days later, they found the city where they lived very quiet. People disappeared and they had to find out the answers. They even experienced a scary attack from a mysterious creature. At the beginning of the film, there was a woman named Anna who was on a bus going home from the city across the street. A few moments later, a man named Freddie appeared on the same bus and the same destination. At that time, there were only the two of them on the bus, and there were no other passengers. When they were about to move seats, Freddie saw Anna's book fall and he picked it up for Anna. This is where their introduction happened. They started asking each other for addresses and destinations, and it turned out that their destinations were the same. Even the housing where they lived was the same, only a few blocks away. They also questioned each other's jobs. Freddie worked as a comic maker, more precisely a horror comic, while Anna was a nurse, and sometimes she also liked things about drama. The introduction made Freddie want to get closer to Anna. He even painted Anna's face next to him. Unfortunately, maybe that was a bit too much for Anna because she felt uncomfortable. Freddie asked Anna several times when they could have coffee together or go for a walk together, but Anna seemed increasingly uncomfortable and gave Freddie an uncertain answer. Then not long after, their bus had an accident. In the morning, Anna woke up because she had a dream about her childhood. At that time, Anna had to rush to go to work because it was too late. When she was in the hospital, Anna felt something was wrong. People were nowhere to be seen. Where did everyone go? The hospital, which was usually full of patients and doctors, was as quiet as a graveyard. Anna only heard the sound of a doctor performing surgery on someone. Who knows what had happened? It turned out that not only in the hospital, on the street, even in her house, Anna didn't see anyone. Night finally came. Anna preferred to stay at home because she was afraid. Then she heard very loud music not far from her house. Anna entered the house until she was surprised by Freddie's appearance. It turned out that the house was Freddie's house. Strangely, why were they the only ones left in the city? Freddie didn't know what happened. When he woke up in the morning, he was like this. Freddie turned on the music loudly so he wouldn't be lonely. Well, at least Anna now had a friend. They decided to go to the police station to look for help and information. It turned out that there was no one at the police station either. The radio didn't work either. They moved again to find someone who might still survive. A few hundred meters, they saw a thick black smoke covering their path. Freddie tried to touch the black smoke until his hands turned pale and a little stiff. They didn't want to take any risks, especially since the black smoke was slowly moving forward. So they looked for another way, and it turned out that the black smoke also appeared everywhere. It was as if the black smoke was covering access out of the city. When the car was too close to the smoke, it made it difficult to start, but that time they were still lucky. Anna and Freddie returned to the city and saw a small shop where Anna used to go there with her aunt. When they entered, the atmosphere changed. It became more lively, and there were many people in it. But those people couldn't see them. What happened? While Freddie looked around in another place, Anna found herself as a child with her aunt. Anna remembers that day was her birthday, and her aunt gave her a beautiful necklace. Anna already considered her aunt as her own mother, because Anna had been abandoned by her mother since she was little. When Anna was about to touch her aunt, everything became as before, dark and gloomy. Freddie began to measure how long the black smoke traveled until it covered the city. They also had to prepare themselves with food and drinks. Until one day, Anna had the idea, were they in another dimension? Or maybe they were dead. All they remembered was when the accident happened. Then everything became like this. Anna shows Freddie a recording of a doctor's voice in the hospital. The voice is a recording of a doctor treating a patient who seems to be in an emergency. They are immediately shocked when the doctor mentions Anna's name. Freddie then tries an experiment to prove that he is right. They enter the room that the doctor mentioned in the recording. The room is Anna's room. A heartbeat device is synchronized with Anna's current heartbeat. That means Anna is in a coma, and so is Freddy. So what does it have to do with the black smoke? Freddy concludes that the black smoke is the time left for them to survive. If the smoke covers the entire city, they will die. So their only way is to penetrate the black smoke and see what's behind it. In the end, they enter the black smoke trying their best not to get lost. Then they find a large door with keys underneath. Which key is right to open the door? Freddy says several times that he has seen this, but where? Freddy takes a large key and inserts it into the keyhole, but unfortunately nothing happens. Then Anna saw a large chain leading into a well. I don't know what chain it was, but soon a terrible roar like a monster came from inside the well. They hurriedly left the location and came back out of the smoke. The monster followed them. Even Freddy was pulled, but he managed to escape. They had to prepare themselves with better weapons. At that time, they were next to Freddy's house, looking for items that could be used to survive. Then they saw Freddy's childhood with his father. Freddy regretted his actions at that time. He only cared about his image, but not his father. Even though his father loved Freddy very much until he died. Anna and Freddy were better off together that night, so they went to Anna's house and rested there. At that time, Anna saw a comic made by Freddy, and it turned out that the door came from Freddy's imagination. But unfortunately, Freddy didn't know which key to use to open the door. Maybe they should find out somewhere else. It seems like what they are facing is their respective imaginations. They went to a carnival. There Anna and Freddy saw themselves when they were little. It turns out that Anna and Freddy have met each other, but they didn't have time to get to know each other. For a moment they were silent, but the monster reappeared, and this time it really chased them. Anna and Freddy took shelter in a school, but the monster also followed them in. In between, Freddy found a way out to open the door. The monster was the key. There was an object in his chest. Freddy was sure it was the key. But to get the key, they had to kill the monster. Anna and Freddy prepared tools and plans to lure and kill the monster. A mannequin statue and several homemade bombs were placed in the middle of the road to lure the monster. The monster appeared, and Freddy prepared to shoot the bomb, but several times his shots missed until Anna took over and hit the target. When checked, it turned out that the monster was gone. There were only traces of its chains. That means the monster was free from its chains and would be very dangerous. As their time dwindled, the black smoke began to cover the entire city. They also had to run from the monster's pursuit. Anna and Freddy went into the church to rest. This may be a very defining moment. Anna happy to be able to get to know Freddy, even though their initial introduction on the bus was not good. She felt that Freddy talked too much, but I was wrong. Freddy was a good person and just wanted to find friends. Not long after, Anna felt a pain in her stomach. She couldn't move much. In other words, Freddy would face the monster. Freddy wouldn't let Anna die. Freddy went out to face the monster alone. Even though he lost, and Anna was very sad to see that. With all her strength, Anna returned to her aunt's house. There, Anna saw her childhood with her aunt playing a drama. In the middle of it, it turned out that there was a group of children who turned out to be Freddy. Freddy was challenged by his friends to cause trouble, which happened to be Anna's aunt's house. Freddy threw a rock until it went in and hit a candle near her aunt. Her aunt was burned to death. From there, Anna just found out that Freddy was the one who caused her aunt to die first. Freddy appeared in a worrying condition while apologizing for what happened to Anna's aunt. Freddy lost a lot of blood until he was unconscious. Meanwhile, Anna faced a monster that entered her aunt's house. This was the final and decisive battle. If she succeeded, she could get the key and return to the real world. But if she failed, Anna and Freddy would be finished. Luckily, Anna succeeded and got the key and then put it in the door. A few moments later, Anna woke up in the hospital. She rushed to Freddy's room, but Freddy was not there. The information was that Freddy had returned home. With a condition that was still not 100% recovered, Anna went to Freddy's house. Anna was greeted by Freddy's nurse because she still needed to recover. Freddy sits in his backyard, and he only remembers a little about Anna. Freddy only remembers Anna when he met her on the bus that night, but not the spiritual journey they experienced. Anna tries to make Freddy remember who he is. Anna shows a picture of Freddy until finally Freddy slowly remembers and they start living together.